Enchanted. This is the Disney movie that came out a couple of years, starring Amy Adams and all that. The reason I'm talking about this movie is because in a couple weeks we're getting the Disney Plus sequel that has literally been years in the making, and I mean literally years in the making. Um, and also we're getting we're getting that. So and I would talk about it closer to the release of that film, like I tend to do, but I want to talk about the two Christmas Story movies closer to the release of the Christmas Story sequel, so I had to speed this review up. Also, my 4K showed up late for a Christmas Story, so I couldn't upload the review of that when I wanted to, and it's a bunch of complications. None of you all care. What did I think of Enchanted? So, a little backstory with this movie. This movie came out, I believe, 2008, 2007. So it was very early 2000s. I was born in 2003, so I was about five or so. I did kind of grow up watching this movie on DVD and stuff. And I think this movie should stay in 2008 and 2007. And I don't mean that this is an awful movie. It's not unwatchable. It's a fun movie to watch. But I think what the thing is about this movie is this is a movie that subverts fairy tales. You got the plot of this movie, if you don't know, is Amy Adams is a princess in this Disney animated fairy tale world. Characters talk, they live, they're free. They run around, right? And they sing, kind of Disney animated stuff, right? Villain sends her down a portal, or, well, she ends up in the real world. And then it's kind of like a subversion of fairy tales, that type of thing that this movie is. And I think that idea was so clever. This is basically Disney's version of Shrek. Like, Disney's never ever gonna make fun of their fairy tales well enough to catch on and be its own thing the way Shrek was, because they still have to sell you Disney princess dolls and all this shit. But I think what's funny about this movie is, I think in 2007 and 2008, I forget which year this came out, uh, this was probably a new clever idea. But with shit like Frozen, you can't fall in love with the man you just met. Those types of things that are constantly in Disney movies. They're in their Disney remakes, they're in their Disney animated movies now. They're just constantly reminding you how dumb the Disney fairy tale tropes are while selling you fairy tale tropes are. This is one of the less annoying ones, right? Because Frozen is a very hypocritical movie. It's telling you what's wrong with the Disney princess stuff, and it is one at the same time, and it's bad. It's I don't know, but this is a different. I think this one's the better one. It's fun. Amy Adams is perfect in this part. The music is pretty good. It's not top tier Disney animated stuff. It's weird because it is Alan Menken, I believe, who does a lot of the older Disney soundtracks like Aladdin stuff. But yeah, I mean, this movie's fun and a nice little subversion of Disney movies, but it also kind of feels quaint and kind of dated. Like, I could watch this now, but a part of me only feels like I'm watching a movie through the early 2000s. And there's a fun charm to that, but there's also a little bit of disconnect with that, because you're like, man, I'm so tired of hearing about how you can't fall in love with the dude you just met, or being lectured about these Disney tropes, because it's so common now in our society. It wasn't when this movie came out, so it's not this movie's fault that it is like that. But it does make us go back to this movie and look at it a little bit differently. I'm curious what a sequel would be, because I can't see a sequel being as clever as this movie is, in the sense that this movie is subverting Disney fairy tale tropes, and in such a way, I don't know how a sequel could do that and make it interesting enough. But yeah, I think if you've never seen the movie, it's worth at least one watch. But I don't think you're going to be remembering it, or it's going to be sticking with you very well. And I think that's the way most people feel about it. I think that's why there's been such a delay for a sequel. Is I think Disney was kind of unsure. Yeah, there is potential you could make a sequel, but how do you do that and make it profitable? That was the thing. And now And now with Disney Plus, it's a little bit easier to just put it on a streaming service. It fails, whatever, move on. It's a little bit harder when you're releasing it in a theater, you know. So I think that's why it's taken so long. And it's nice that this film is getting us a little bit more love because it kind of is a forgotten Disney movie. But at the same time, there is kind of a reason for that. It's not a terrible movie, but it's kind of a dated movie. And it's not dated by anything it did, but by other films doing it better or even worse by that means. Like I think Moana is a much better subversion of fairy tales than this movie. So I don't know, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Enchanted.